And anytime I see someone using the word boomer, I just can't listen to them.
How come?
Hell no. It's just one of those things that they automatically discount anything someone older says.
True.
And it's like, I don't know. Listen to Warren Buffett might have worked out okay. I don't know.
That's
So
true.
it's I get it because I was investing during the tech boom. It's a different market, right? Um, the flip side, you know how many times I've seen someone, I mean, I heard this shit in 2007 too, man. Oh, look what happened.
Yeah.
Um, it's I think sometimes we get lost in this tech world where we think it's all going to go to the moon, and it's yeah, like Microsoft's probably stable. They actually create something people need to use. Enterprise
Mm.
software systems, Excel, for example. Um, yeah, Microsoft's probably reasonably stable. Now, is Snapchat? I don't know.
Right.
It's uh it's crazy times in the market, and you can also say it's irrational times in the market because we're watching shit get um pushed up because it's a meme. So I think it's hard to sit back and say um maybe we should listen to the boomers a little bit. They gotta proceed with caution, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you. I absolutely hear you. I think that this guy makes an interesting point, which is so, I mean, exactly what you're saying, which is these big companies, like the Googles and Microsofts, they're not going to bust. And anytime these fall off slightly, people just buy back in. So it's not a bubble. This is just kind of reality, at least in certain companies.
Yeah, again, it's like he has is doubling his money in 4 years. Well, how much has the S&P gone up in 4 years?
That's a good question. I'll figure that out. But typically, you
Um,
double your money in seven, right? Is the standard.
I mean, so it's one of those things where it's like everything was going up minus the crash. Everything was going. It's We just had this conversation, right? Everyone looks like a genius when the market's going up, and it's like, yeah, he probably should have doubled his fund in four. If you're a savvy investor, yeah, it's that our stock portfolios of like 35% or something in the last 12 to 15 months alone.
Yeah, it would be
On
like that.
okay, so
That's true.
I I hate it because it's like these people start getting money sometimes, and then they really get that I'm the smartest guy in the room type of shit, and the dude's making money, and I tend to listen to people that make money versus not make money.
Yeah.
But the general thought of let's say nothing's in a bubble anymore, I don't know, man. It's everything kind of went up in the last 4 years. I'm sure there are certain stocks that took a hit, poorly ran companies, things going out of style, all that. But as far as I remember, the last 4 years, everyone's kind of printing money, especially the last 12 months. So the problem is, it's like people ride that wave, and all of a sudden, dude, when this guy can trade for, we talked about this before with the Warren Buffett thing. Warren Buffett did it his whole career. If we're still talking about this guy in 5 years, then I'm listening. Okay. Um, it's Do you listen to much EDM music, or is it just all jazz and blues?
It's basically all jazz and blues. Yeah.
Yeah, I see this a lot in EDM, where someone will pop up and they'll have this one song that's just like um, on the radio all summer long, and then you listen to the song, they nailed it, right? But it's you listen to everything else they've done so far, and it's like I don't see the longevity here.
Let me see.
And then sure as shit, they just fall off the map, right? And do what, and I'm not saying I'm a fan or not a fan of these people, but do what um Tiesto did, or what Calvin Harris did, even what Deadmau5 did. I'm not in big brand names here, so people do it consistently over a long period of time, and then you can start saying, okay, because anyone can get lucky once. When I'm looking at a billionaire, or at least $1 billion plus fund, who's doing really well when the entire market's been going up during this period of time, I'm not sitting over here like hitting refresh to see what they're tweeting next, if that makes any sense.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. Just
Oh,
to make your point from earlier, the S&P 500's gone up 107% in the last 5 years. So, not he maybe found some alpha because he did it in four, but you're right. I mean, even just putting it there, you would have doubled your money.
yeah. So that's like investing 101. Now, Buffett came out and said most investors are better off just buying S&P. And you're telling me like the standard stock play in history, this guy only did marginally better. It's I hate saying that because I don't want to sound like a hater. I just seen so many of these people come and go in history. And like I said, if we're still talking about it in 5 years, then he's probably the real deal, right?
Yeah,
But
right.
everybody looks good in a bull market, man.
Yeah.
That's you did a little bit better than the S&P, and then you get your own Bloomberg article. And it's like, well, we're gonna go shit on all. We're gonna call the boomers a bunch of doomers because they're saying bubble, bubble, bubble. And it's point down here. Google is not going to bust. Microsoft's not going. I agree with that. Doesn't mean they won't go down. But you don't know. Google could get hit with some antitrust shit. Microsoft could have problems and they could stop innovating, right? Long term
Yeah.
issues here, but I agree. Those are smart plays, but it's like, are you almost better off looking at something like BJ's Wholesale that's kind of popping up and being the new Costco? Like over the next 5 years, will you get better returns that are nearly as safe as Google or Microsoft? I feel like Google's growth, where's it going from here? Where's Microsoft's growth going from here?
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's the fame. Well, it's not famous, but there's the example that everyone points to, right? Like if you had bought Domino's at IPO, you would have gotten the same level of return as you would have since Google at IPO.
Yeah.
So there are different ways to do this.
There is, and it sounds like I made a comment before. If you just took the the top 10 companies with the most cash on hand and put all your money in there, you're probably. I'm not. Don't listen to my investment ideas here. Me just thinking, you're probably pretty safe. Cash tends to be stability, especially during major downturns. You just pick the companies with the most cash on hand, which is probably 7 or 8 tech companies, and maybe an oil company and somebody else, right? Would that be a safe portfolio like investment? And I don't think it's a rocket science thing because I'm not even. I mean, I consider myself a savvy investor, but I don't think I deserve my own article on Bloomberg, for example.
Yeah.
I don't think I even deserve my own article on Medium, which I can publish for free. It's just ideas. I've been trading for 20 years. I've seen the ups and downs, and I made some money in 2001. I survived 2008. It's always easy. It's that quote from Wall Street I talk about the movie where it's, quick buck artists come and go with the bull market, but the steady players make it through the bear market. We'll see. It's like the Michael Burry. It's Kathy Wood. It's all these people that we're trying to find this next person to idolize in the investment space. And you realize that you could have performed similar to what this guy has done just by buying S&P.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's just one of those things. I made a bunch of money and look at me, I'm smart. I hate that game.
Yeah.
I don't think money makes you automatically smart. I think money means that you made some money. Michael Burry, same thing. We wouldn't be talking about him if it wasn't for The Big Short you see right here. And he did nail it.
Yeah.
But I could have swore, and don't quote me, that he's been wrong a lot too, man. Because let's face it, if these guys were such Jedis, all of them, they would be in that top 10 Forbes list, right? They would be trillionaires.
That's right.
I don't get excited for people that do a little more over S&P. Can't take all your money, dump it in S&P. The next time the market goes way down, dump it in S&P and sit on it for 10 years. Life's good.
Yeah, exactly.
We shall see. I know I'm trying not to sound negative. Yeah, I'm trying to sound negative. I just feel like there's more and more and more of these things coming out. And I don't discount anything because someone's young or old. It's either good advice or bad advice, if that makes sense. I'm
Yeah,
not.
yeah, and yeah,
Oh, good.
you make a good point with like the idea that we typically give airtime to people that have made a little bit of money, thinking that they're probably a little bit more thoughtful or clever or whatever than maybe they deserve. Not saying that they aren't, but it's that points to something I think that's systemic in our society, or we do that. And now that you've said it, I'm thinking about it a little bit more. Like we really do that a lot.
Yeah, I just think these people go make some very common sense investments, and then it's like, look at me, look at me. It's like, show me
Yeah,
where you went and picked like 4 small caps that really busted out. Then no, show me that. That's what I wanted. Like, that's what I'm gonna start listening. If you're telling me you're buying Microsoft and Google, like, come on, man, it's like 50% of everyone's portfolio. What are you talking about right
yeah,
now? Tell me
right,
whether or
right.
not. Tell me where Snapchat's going to be in 2 years. Is it up $30 or down $30? Well, if you can tell me that and be right, then I'm going to listen. It's
Yeah,
if we're going to talk these techs and the techs are stable, sure, certain techs are stable, right? Um, it's just one of those things that I think this is the playbook for every wealth manager out there. If you go to certified financial planner down the street, talking same shit, probably by S&P, by Microsoft, by Google. Dude, come on.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
you know my opinion in the last 24 months. I'm looking for extraordinary returns. I'm looking for arbitrage opportunities. Um, there's things I'm looking at other companies that are coming up that are possible acquisition targets. Yeah, you put part of your portfolio into safe shit. I get it. But I wouldn't say Microsoft's in a bubble, right? Microsoft's
right,
Microsoft.
right.
There are tech
Microsoft is
stocks.
Microsoft.
Could you remember when people thought Tesla was going to $1,500 a little while ago?
Yeah, yeah.
And then it dropped down. Um,
Mhm.
Chipotle gets treated like a tech stock. What's Chipotle at right now?
1,500 last time I checked, but give me a second. I can pull it up. 1,900.
You're telling me Chipotle's not in a bubble?
It's a good question. 1,900.
I love
P of
Chipotle.
92.
You know me. I love Chipotle Grill, but I feel like ever since the pandemic started, it's gotten worse and worse and worse. The food's gotten smaller and smaller and smaller. Like, how is Chipotle at 19? How are we not in a bubble? And I know it's not a tech stock, but you start looking at things, go dig into their
Yeah,
revenue and their expansion and all these things, and it's like, we know that the people that were doing the meme stocks and the people that had the extra unemployment money weren't paying their school loans, weren't paying their rent and their mortgages, poured money into the market, right? They weren't pouring that money into retail like Gap and shit, whatever that company's main holding company.
yeah, yeah.
They're pouring it in the tech stocks, King. It was going
Yep,
into Tesla.
true.
It was going into Twitter. It's going into Snapchat. And again, it's like, what happens? Like right now, the evictions are about to start, and the school loans start back up in January. What happens when these people stop pouring their money into these tech stocks? We're gonna find out, right? So I
Yeah,
say save this guy, set a reminder in your calendar right now. We'll do another episode on April 27th. Set a reminder, and we'll talk about it
okay.
again. And we'll just maybe things are great, and then maybe things gone down. But let's I say that we keep revisiting. I used to do that on LinkedIn. It's hilarious. Um, someone would say, "Hey, I don't know if you remember LinkedIn. They would do these stories about. They would talk about this candidate who went against all the grains. They were a job hopper. They didn't have a degree. They haven't worked in 2 years, and I hired them.
Yeah, yeah,
And it was
yeah,
like
of
these
course.
very it was so. That's why I stopped on LinkedIn. I couldn't listen to this shit anymore because there was so much of these like self-serving stories on how you. It was really insulting to the person they were talking about, in my opinion. But it's like,
It's true.
but they talked about how they gave this person a shot because they were so wicked smart, bro, that they could see past all these things and they hired this person. And then you'd look and like 3 months later, they don't work there no more.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I got a whole bunch of those screenshots because it was amazing to me how many people soaked that up, thinking that the person was so awesome and so cool and so genius, and then you watch it just blow up. And
Mhm.
it's like, yeah, you just said there was 9 red flags, and you were able to see through all that. What? So I always
Yeah.
wanted to go back. I always wanted to go back and like follow up on shit, just to say, hey, how'd that work out? Um, but they you see so much. It's always these like self-serving, do it for the likes and do it for the clicks, and I'm this like clairvoyant harbinger Jedi Matrix dude, Neo. Like, I'm the Neo of hiring, and then they'd get like 100,000 likes and comments, and then if you just followed back up, that it just burnt down, like in 3
Yeah. Yeah.
months. Let's do
Yeah.
that with these every once in a while. Let's pop back in and check if there's any news on these people. So,
Yeah. That's a good idea.
the dude that lost 20 billion in like 2 days, right? I'm sure he was that Jedi investing at 1.2. But
Yeah. True. True.
I don't know if we need to talk a whole lot about how stable Google and Microsoft are. It seems like that's in the investing for dummies 101.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I'll set a calendar invite for not calendar invite, a calendar notification for April 27th, and we'll revisit.
I can't wait to hit accept on that one. All right, dude, I catch you.